it's dark in my heart and it feels like a cold night. Today's a new day. But where are my blue skies? Where is the love and the joy that you promised me? Tell me it's alright.
I'll be honest with you.
I almost gave up, but a power that I can't explain fell from heaven like a shower now.
No matter what you're going through, oh, you got
I smile, even though it hurts me, I smile. I know God is working, so I smile. Even though I've been here for a while, I smile, smile. It's so hard to look up when you look down. Sure would hate to see you give up now. You look so much better when you smile, so smile.
no matter what you're going through, hold on, because tomorrow's always going to be a better day.
Today's a new day,
Oh, today's a new day.
but there is no sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing but clouds, and it's dark in my heart, and it feels like a cold night.
Oh, today's a new
Today's a
day.
new day,
Help me, well,
but tell me where are my blue skies?
where is the
Where
love?
is the love and the joy that
You
you promised me?
promised me
Tell me
that
it's
everything's gonna
alright.
be alright. Say,
I almost gave up, but a power that I can't explain
fell from heaven.
fell from heaven like a shower now.
Come on, you got to
I
just
smile,
hey, hey.
even though it hurts me, I
I
smile.
smile,
I know God is working, so I smile. Even though I've been here for a
even
while,
though I've been a
I smile,
come on and smile. Hallelujah.
it's so hard to look up when you look down.
Don't look down.
I sure would hate to see you give up now.
Can't see you give
You
up
look
now.
so much better when
You
you
look so much better when you smile.
Smile for me. Can you just smile for me?
In the midst of your troubles, come on in.
Smile for me. Can you just smile for me?
Celebration, say,
Oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you smile. I almost gave up, but a power that I can't explain
fell from heaven.
fell from heaven like a shower now.
Right now, right now,
Right now,
right now, right now. Come on and
smile. Even though I hurt you, I smile. I know God is working, so I smile.
truly walking with
Even
me.
though I've been here for a while, I smile, smile.
Hallelujah.
It's so hard to look up when you look down. Sure would hate to see you give up now. You look so much better when you smile. Oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you oh, oh, oh. You look so much better when you smile, smile. I smile, I smile, I smile, smile.
Good morning, Unity Church of the Hills. Do I have glitter on? So I was sitting where Ellen was sitting previously, just wondering. Welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. We invite you to take a moment and check in on Facebook and follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram as we begin this morning's announcements. We would like to welcome those of you who are visiting Unity Church of the Hills for the first time today. If you didn't pick up one of our welcome packets on your way in, you can raise your hand now and one of our ushers will get one to you. Anyone? All right. We ask that you complete the card, drop it in the offering basket, or return it to the newcomer's desk in the foyer. Be sure to visit our Welcome Center in the foyer and ask questions and connect with us. Most of all, we want to welcome you and thank you for joining us today. Join Lance and Jean Lean as they lead a day-long silent meditation retreat on Saturday, June 22nd. For more information and to register, go to unityhills.org. For a Father's Day treat, Papa's Perfect Potatoes and Yummy Yams is returning. I got it out. That's right. We're again hosting a potato bar with every topping imaginable. Get your tickets in the foyer today or online. We are also recruiting for volunteers, the Potato Patrol, to help with this event. Plus, we need women, tater toppers, to step up and provide the toppings for the potatoes. Ugh, tater toppers to step up and provide the toppings for the potatoes. So, ladies, if you're willing to help out on the Potato Patrol or a tater topper, we need you to sign up today. There's a list of toppings and a sign-up sheet in the volunteer desk in the foyer. There are many situations currently in which children may not be safe and may not know how to protect themselves. We are presenting a two-part Parenting Safe Children workshop next Saturday, June 8th and June 15th. In this workshop, we'll teach parents ways to protect their children. For details and registration, visit unityhills.org. Also, next Saturday, June 8th, body, mind, and spirit expert Melissa Jacobson will facilitate a class where you can learn to paint your aura. She will guide you to visualize the layers of your aura so that you can create your own aura painting. Register for that online. And Conscious Conversations returns on June 6th at 7 p.m. John Fleming and I will be leading an exploration of feelings and awareness around the topic of empathy and our limitations to it. All are invited to attend. We are looking for several weekend coordinators for Saturdays and Sundays. It's a great way to make a little extra money for a job description. You can pick up a copy at the front desk or go online. Now, on June 2nd, 17 years ago, Unity Church of the Hills hired Ellen Fannin. And today, June 2nd, 2019, she retires. Congratulations, Ellen. I'm going to take a minute and go off script because Ellen can't fire me now. And let you know that my experience here at Unity Church of the Hills was not a typical one. I came in the doors rather skeptical. I was like, maybe. I wasn't like the rest of you guys. I said, ooh, I love it. And my family loved it. And I kept coming back. But what really, really made a huge difference for me to stick around all these years is that one morning, Ellen was looking at me from across the foyer. It's foyer, y'all, not foyer. She was looking at me from across the foyer, just for you, Ellen. And she called me over and invited me to be her mastermind partner, along with Kay Ellen Shores. And that was it for me. It was over. Ellen is one of my dearest friends, and she has made a huge, huge difference on my life, made a huge difference for me. And as all of you know, if you've been in a service, if you have taken a class, if you've had a wedding or been to a wedding, or had any part in this church whatsoever, you know that Ellen has been the wind beneath our wings. So come and join us tonight, 5 o'clock, for her party. We celebrate you, and we love you, Ellen. All right, this is it. For a listing of this week's activities, refer to the back of your bulletin. Details on future events are in the June calendar at the Welcome Center. Be sure to visit our website, unityhills.org, where you can register for any of our activities and to receive the weekly e-newsletter. Sign up at the bottom of the homepage on the website. And now, as we move into a more sacred time in our service, please silence your cell phones as we begin our worship service.
God's children. The Lord said he would be. It doesn't take very many. It can be just 2 or 3. And I feel that same sweet spirit that I felt oft times before. Surely I can say that I've been with the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Turn and greet that presence in each other.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. We ask that you please be seated.
Oh, there's a lot of love in the sanctuary this morning, so just let your heart flow with all of that love. And let's begin our time together in prayer here, shall we? We are in an exploration of the world's religions, and in honor of all pathways to God, we light our Christ candle today, acknowledging that animating power within all religions is that one power and that one presence, which is God. From the Christ candle, we acknowledge our Christian brothers and sisters. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. We acknowledge our Islamic brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. We acknowledge our Jewish brothers and sisters. Shalom. The Lord our God, the Lord is one. We acknowledge our Hindu brothers and sisters. Namaste. The light of God within me honors and recognizes the light of God within you. We acknowledge our Buddhist brothers and sisters. Welcome. We acknowledge all on their spiritual paths because all are welcome here. And I please ask all of our prayer chaplain and our prayer chaplain emeriti to please stand, creating the sacred space, holding the truth for us as we join together in prayer with Dr. Harvey Rabin.
Elohai Nishama, God of all souls, we thank you, for you are the eternal our God, God of our fathers and mothers forever, nurturing rock of our life, protecting shield of our triumph, in ancient generations and our own, we thank you. We spin tales of your praise for our lives, which you shape with your hand, for our souls, which you hold in trust, for your miracles which jump in front of us each day, for your wonders, your favors, which suffuse our time every evening, every morning, on dark days and when the sun is high. Hatov, O good one, your nurture never dries up. Harachaman, O compassionate one, your acts of love are without end. And let us say, Amen. So there's a tradition that I was told that after the prayer we offer a song, and I'm here standing in for Rabbi Neil Blumoff, who could not join you today. It's my pleasure and honor to be with you. And Rabbi Blumoff sends his greetings to the congregation. The song that I'm going to ask you to join with me in has 4 Hebrew words. You need not be in any panic that you won't be able to, I will give you each word, we'll repeat them back to each other, and hopefully together we'll do this chant. The words are, Ner Adonai, Nishmat Adam. The light of God is the soul of the human. And it goes like this. Ner Adonai, Nishmat Adam. Ner Adonai, Nishmat Adam. Ner Adonai, Nishmat Adam. Ner Adonai, Nishmat Adam. Okay? Now that you've had a little bit of practice listening to me in somewhere between C minor and D sharp. Somewhere. All right? So we'll try it together. Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam. Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam. Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam. Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam.
Now we ask you please stand for the second congregation song.
When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will dance like David danced. When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will dance like David danced. I will dance, I will dance, I will dance like David danced. I will dance, I will dance, dance like
Thank you, Celebration, and good morning to every single one of you warm, loving hearts. It's delightful to be with you, whether it's in the sanctuary or if you're love streaming. Today, we share our love with every single one of you and welcome you.
Well, as our tradition, we join together in a thing. Mission, vision. And today we're doing our values. We're going to do our value number 4 statement.
Experiencing joy. Let me give you just a little bit of information before we actually practice that. There are 4 phases to the breath cycle, and each of these are important. The inhalation, a pause when you're full, an exhalation, and then a pause once you've fully rested in that breath, and then it begins again. The inhalation is the first step, and it's associated with the crown of our head, the crown chakra. And then when we hold it, once we've received the breath coming through the crown chakra, we hold that wisdom that has poured through and into our being. And then we exhale that knowledge, and then we rest in the state of understanding. So we begin. It's a cycle that goes around and around, beginning with the crown chakra. If you would inhale for the count of 8 from the crown of your head, and then hold it for a count of 4, and release it to a count of 6, and then rest with a count of 5. And then again, starting at the crown chakra, inhaling, knowing the aspiring link of consciousness to our own soul through the crown. Holding the breath brings the superconscious experience into the wisdom of our soul. Exhaling brings the experience into our bodies. And then resting in that consciousness where it has found its place within our body. Again, inhaling in through the crown, linking our consciousness and our soul to the wisdom of God, allowing it to find its place within our bodies in that wisdom. Exhaling and allowing that experience to flow through us as knowledge brings the truth into each respective part of the body. And then resting in understanding and exhaling. The energy of the body resonates very beautifully with this slow practice of inhalation, rest, exhalation, and rest. At your own pace, I invite you to focus on the crown chakra as you breathe in, recognizing the infinite wisdom of God flowing into you, resting in that state of fullness and allowing it to settle into your very body, exhaling it as a state of knowledge being expressed through you, and then resting in the state of understanding at your own pace. Inhaling wisdom, allowing that wisdom to reside within you and then to be expressed from you as knowledge. And then resting again in a state of understanding. Willingly we receive, allowing it to fill us and renew us. Joyfully, lovingly we share. And then we rest in a state of equanimity and understanding. A holy circle, a holy communion, ever present within our breath. And so we allow it to be. Amen.
good morning for 2 more minutes. I was timing that out, not certain whether I would be at 12:03 or 2 minutes to 12. All right. So here we are, Judaism in 10 minutes. So I'm going to talk really fast. No, I'm not going to talk really fast, but I will try to. There will obviously be things I will leave out and things that I will emphasize this morning. Jewish tradition states that we kind of roll our tradition over and over. It said there's a saying in the Mishnah, the rabbinic sayings, that says "Hafoch ba v'hafoch ba ki kula ba." We turn it and we turn it because everything is in it. And so we're constantly in that search for understanding and to expand our understanding of the Jewish tradition. Imagine a stool with 3 legs. And I'm not sure that any of you have ever seen a stool that stands on 2 legs or 1 leg. So what I'm suggesting here is that each leg of the stool supports it. No one leg is stronger. And so as I form my thoughts today, I'm looking at the 3 legs of Jewish life: God, Torah, and Israel. And I'll give you an opportunity to hear my perspective on each of these. There is no hierarchy. Each plays its role of equal importance. First, God. In traditional Jewish thought, God is an assumption. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, God is one. The Creator, the omnipresent, the omnipotent, the one who is close to us and beyond our understanding. Over time, really after the 19th century, we began to expand our understandings of God and Jewish theology. And don't worry, I'm not going into a deep dive into theology this morning, but just to give you an idea. So there have been others who have argued that perhaps God is a God of nature, a naturalist view of Jewish God understanding. There are existentialists that God is found in relationships with other people, courtesy of Martin Buber. And then in our own time, after the events of World War II and the Holocaust, is there a God at all who could not hear and could not or did not respond? So what I want to focus on today with regard to God is God in prayer. Prior to the year 70, there was no prayer as we understand it today within the Jewish faith. It was a system of sacrifices, which we refer to as the sacrificial cult, priests doing the work for the people. And that ended in the year 70 with the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem by the Romans. And so that was it in terms of that style of worship. The word for sacrifice in Hebrew is karban. And although the idea of animal or grain sacrifice is foreign to us today, at least within the Western religious traditions, we did have it, and we discarded it when there was no place still to do it. And we replaced it with blessings, a formula for expressing thanks, and also making requests of God. Each has a role, and I should point out that requests in the Jewish tradition, God, please give me this, please give me the knowledge to get an A on this test, those requests we refrain from on the Sabbath, because the Sabbath is God's day of rest. Prayer is an everyday occurrence. There are 3 set times for prayer: morning, afternoon, and evening. And set prayers and spontaneous prayers are part of the Jewish prayer vocabulary. The second leg on the stool, Torah, often understood as law, but here we understand it as teaching or study. In a week, we will be celebrating the holiday of Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, which marks 7 weeks after the holiday of Passover, which in biblical understanding was the time it took us to leave Egypt and arrive at the foot of Mount Sinai. And so there's, at Mount Sinai, there were, all of us say that there were 10 commandments, or as Jews say, 10 utterances from God. But Jews understand also that at that time we received 613 mitzvot, 613 sacred obligations. And from that, we expanded this to include both a written Torah, that is the 5 books of Moses, and an oral Torah, which the rabbis wrote down and which we have until this day. An example of the oral Torah in one of the pictures from the Western Wall, there's a man standing against the wall with black leather straps around his arms. And this is an interpretation, after the Bible, from the section in Deuteronomy which says, "You shall bind it for a sign upon your hand, and it shall be frontlets between your eyes." And so this becomes an interpretation of that biblical saying. The important thing about Torah is mitzvah, the idea of sacred obligation. And there are 2 kinds of these sacred obligations, one between humans and God, and one between humans and other humans. Both are important. Both form a central purpose to our lives. An example of those between God and us would be, for example, Jews have a tradition of a special dietary code, which is enumerated in Shmini, your Torah portion, Lance, and it gives us an understanding of what we should do and what God expects of us. And then there are the virtues of aiding the stranger, feeding the hungry, healing the sick, displaying kindness, which culminated in the phrase, "Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," love your neighbor as yourself, in Leviticus 19. So these commandments become the centerpiece of Jewish living. And finally, the third leg, Israel. Not the modern state, but the peoplehood of Israel. Israel, of course, was the name given by God to Jacob after his struggle with the angel. And we understand Yisrael, the Hebrew word, to mean struggling with God. Peoplehood is central to Jews. Jews have different levels of religiosity and observance, but we are all part of the Jewish people. Whether we live in the United States, or Israel, or France, or India, or Australia, or South Africa. Peoplehood keeps us together. We say, Kol Yisrael Aravim Ze Bazeh, all of Israel is involved with one another. That doesn't mean we always agree with one another. There's a standing joke, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. And so we argue with one another. We struggle with one another, even as we struggle with our understanding of God and what God expects of us. But peoplehood matters. And when a bomb goes off at a Jewish community center in Argentina, Jews in America and Jews in Israel and Jews throughout the world reach out to that community with funds and a way to provide grief counselors, etc. It was an amazing response. when, unfortunately, in our own country, Jews are gunned down in Pittsburgh and San Diego County. Every Jew feels it. And the Prime Minister of Israel feels the obligation to send a representative from his government to offer condolences. Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel lives. Peoplehood is memory. Memory, perhaps, in Jewish life is more important than history. And when the Torah was given, it was given to all generations of the Jewish people. There's a small joke told that a man was traveling on a train and he saw another who seemed to look familiar. And he, after a few minutes, a little bit shyness, he said, do I know you from Houston, perhaps? The man looked at him and said, I don't believe so. And he said, maybe we met in New York once. I went to school there. He said, I don't think so. Man shook his head and said, we met at Mount Sinai. I remember. So the experience, the Jewish experience, is not just something that is shared in any generation, but we say from generation to generation. God, Torah, and Israel. We balance these concepts, and we balance them in order to create a life of holiness. Thank you.
Good morning. You know, many of you may know that I'm Jewish. It's not something that I talk about or spend a great deal of time in consciousness. It's among the most important essences of who I am. It has never left me. It has always been something that is exceedingly strong within me, and it informs a great deal of my thinking and how I am in the world. So I'd like to spend just a bit of time talking about that part of my journey and how I got from, as a 5 or 6-year-old, sitting next to my grandfather on a bench in a synagogue in Brooklyn, New York, listening to him and the congregation pray. It was a small synagogue. He was the contractor who built it. So it truly was his house of worship. When he retired, he prayed 3 times a day. Dr. Rabin talked about that. And by the way, thank you, Harvey. Thank you so much. My parents were first-generation Americans in our family. Both sides of my family came from Europe. I was born in 1947. In 1948, the State of Israel was established. The Holocaust was near and it was real in my life. So Judaism was an exceedingly important part of who I was and who I was to become. At 13, I was bar mitzvahed. And Reverend Kristen, I was going to say Reverend Kristen was there. She was not there. I was bar mitzvahed 59 years ago. And several weeks ago, I gave a talk at the 8 a.m. service on Moses and Jesus, the Beatitudes and the 10 Commandments, and love and law. And I was moved at that point in time to recite the first 4 lines of my Torah reading from the day of my bar mitzvah. Right out of nowhere, out of memory, it came. And at the age of 13, sports and girls and other pursuits, and the fact that I was now done in terms of Hebrew school, which I had gone to from the time I was like 7 till 13, and I could then join my playmates, some of whom were not raised in the Orthodox tradition that I was. And I drifted away from formal study of Judaism. I never drifted away from being a Jew. Can't do it. You can't take it on, put it on and off like a cloak or like a suit. It's who you are and who I have always been. The State of Israel had a tremendous importance to me. There were people in my family who had tattoos on their arms, who managed to escape from the Nazis. And then all of a sudden, the exigencies of family, etc., the fact that I actually married 3 non-Jews, and so I wasn't being pushed in any direction. And all of a sudden, as I said, I stopped being observant. And then, as some of you know, several years ago, now it's about 8 years ago, Jean and I picked up and moved to Los Angeles, California to study at the Agape International Spiritual Center. Both of us are Agape practitioners and religious science practitioners. And I discovered a writer, an Orthodox Jew, and a mystic, and he just really touched me and appealed to me. That would be Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, a Jewish mystic. I'm going to take a few moments and just read a few things from here. And I would also like to close then with just a little bit of reading from Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. From Heschel, light. God is not a hypothesis derived from logical assumptions, but an immediate insight, self-evident as light. He is not something to be sought in the darkness with the light of reason. He is the light. Once again on God. The issue of prayer is not prayer. The issue of prayer is God. And finally, on the Sabbath. The seventh day is the armistice in man's cruel struggle for existence, a truce in all conflicts, personal and social, peace between man and man, man and nature, peace within man, a day on which handling money is considered a desecration, imagine, on which man avows his independence of that which is the world's chief idol. The seventh day is the exodus from tension, the liberation of man from his own muddiness, the installation of man as a sovereign in the world of time. And finally, from Viktor Frankl, who spent a number of years in a concentration camp as a psychiatrist, but nonetheless. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstance, to choose one's own way. And he goes on to say, love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality. No one can become fully aware of the very essence of another human being unless he loves him. By his love, he is enabled to see the essential traits and features in the beloved person, and even more, he sees that which is potential in him, which has not yet been actualized, but yet ought to be actualized. Furthermore, by his love, the loving person enables the beloved person to actualize their potentialities by making him aware of what he can be and what he should become. He makes these potentialities come true.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, both of you. There's a very famous Jew that was one time asked by a devotee, what is the most important commandment in all of the Bible? And Yeshua answered, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. And out of Leviticus. And the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. Upon all these hang all the law and the prophets. Everything that's ever been done, if it's not based in love, is nothing. And so I'm just so thankful for this community that is open and honoring and loving and accepting. You've made life wonderful. This is a little heaven on earth for many, many people that venture in here. And so if you would join me in supporting this ministry, which is your ministry, by the way, y'all own it. This is a co-op. So, if you would, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I circulate, and I am grateful. Amen.
Come on and get a blessing. Come on and get a blessing from God. Lord. Holy Spirit,
Dr. Harvey mentioned a festival, a Jewish festival, and it's the Shavuot. Shavuot? How's that? Thank you. It is the Festival of Weeks, but it's also when God gave the Torah to the Israelites. And one of the things about this series that we're doing, our intention is so we can understand and learn more about other religions. And so we have been invited, anyone who would like to attend the Shavuot Festival down at the Congregation Agudas Achim, on Saturday night, starts at 8:30 and goes until 6 a.m. the next morning. Don't tell me they don't know how to party. And lots of food. There's going to be lots of food, and everyone is welcome to attend that and learn more about it. Especially those of you who are in spirit circles, we want to encourage you to perhaps attend that. They don't have to stay all night, do they? No. Okay, good. So you can go home and go to bed, but go enjoy some of it and learn more about it from our Jewish brothers and sisters. And it is a wonderful time. Our gratitude circle that is hosted by our prayer chaplains will be right out on the patio immediately following the service. So if you would like to join them, please do. The Rainbow Fellowship is out in the foyer. They have a table out there and a display, and they are selling T-shirts, and there's a variety of styles. And this is how they fund their activities with pride. And so please stop by there. You can order one of the T-shirts, and they will come in and before Pride so that you can help support our Rainbow Fellowship. This week, as always, lots going on. Check the back of your bulletin. Everything is listed on there. I want to bring special attention to the first Wednesday healing service, which will happen, of course, Wednesday night in the chapel. But then immediately not immediately following the service, but at 1 o'clock over in Unity Oaks, our mental health ministry will be meeting today as well. Registration desk, of course, is out in the foyer where you can register for any of our upcoming events. And our prayer chaplains will be over here on the side to pray with anyone who would like to pray. Right now, it's time to say so long to those of you who have joined us on Facebook. Thank you for being with us today. We hope you will come visit us, but for now, so long. All right, I see the little